The Fronde rebellions, 1648 to 1653, represent one of the most turbulent periods in French history, marking a decisive moment during the early reign of Louis XIV. This series of civil uprisings stemmed from a convergence of economic hardship, noble discontent, and challenges to centralized authority under Cardinal Mazarin, the chief minister to the young king. Though the Fronde ultimately failed to achieve its objectives, its long-term impact on France was profound. By shaping Louis XIV's approach to governance, strengthening the foundations of absolutism, and undermining the power of the nobility, the Fronde rebellions played a pivotal role in the development of the French state. The Fronde rebellions arose in the context of widespread economic and political unrest following the 30 Years' War. The war had placed a heavy financial burden on the French state, leading to significant increases in taxation. These taxes disproportionately affected peasants and the urban middle classes, fostering resentment among large segments of the population. The Parliament of Paris, the primary judicial body in France, emerged as a key voice of opposition, challenging royal edicts and demanding reforms to ease the financial strain on the populace. In addition to economic grievances, the Fronde was fueled by noble dissatisfaction with Cardinal Mazarin's administration. During the regency of Anne of Austria, the Queen Mother, Mazarin consolidated power, sidelining many members of the aristocracy who had traditionally played prominent roles in governance. This perceived erosion of noble influence provoked intense resentment among high-ranking nobles, who sought to reclaim their privileges and limit royal authority. Their discontent found an ally in the Parliament of Paris, creating a broad coalition of opposition to Mazarin's regime. The Parliament of Paris also sought to assert its independence, particularly by resisting the centralizing efforts of Mazarin. Judicial leaders demanded greater autonomy in their deliberations, presenting themselves as defenders of the public good against royal overreach. This struggle between the monarchy and the Parliament became a central feature of the early phase of the Fronde. The Fronde rebellions can be divided into two distinct phases: the Parliamentary Fronde, 1648 to 1649, and the Fronde of the Princes, 1650 to 1653. Each phase reflected different motivations and dynamics, but both underscored the challenges facing the monarchy during this period. The Parliamentary Fronde began in 1648, when the Parliament of Paris refused to approve new tax levies proposed by Mazarin. Instead, the Parliament issued a series of demands known as the 27 Articles, calling for limits on royal power and financial reforms to alleviate the tax burden. These actions sparked widespread unrest in Paris, where barricades were erected and citizens protested against Mazarin's administration. Initially, the rebellion gained significant support, forcing the young Louis XIV and his mother to flee the capital. However, the lack of a unified vision among the rebels, coupled with Mazarin's strategic concessions, allowed the monarchy to regain control by 1649. The second phase, the Fronde of the Princes, was driven by aristocratic ambitions rather than popular grievances. Disaffected nobles, including Prince de Condé, turned against Mazarin, seeking to enhance their own power and influence. This phase was marked by greater factionalism as noble leaders pursued conflicting objectives and struggled to maintain unity. The Fronde of the Princes devolved into a chaotic series of skirmishes and shifting alliances, undermining its effectiveness as a coordinated movement. By 1653, Mazarin had succeeded in suppressing the rebellion, returning to power, and consolidating royal authority. The Fronde rebellions left an indelible mark on Louis XIV, shaping his views on governance and the role of the monarchy. Having experienced the chaos of rebellion firsthand as a young king, Louis developed a profound distrust of the nobility and a determination to prevent future uprisings. These experiences became foundational to his approach as an adult ruler, culminating in the establishment of a centralized, absolutist state. One of the most significant lessons Louis XIV drew from the Fronde was the need to curtail noble power. He recognized that the aristocracy's traditional privileges posed a threat to the stability of the monarchy. To address this, Louis instituted a system that relegated nobles to ceremonial roles at court while excluding them from meaningful political decision-making. By requiring the nobility to reside at Versailles, Louis ensured that they remained under his watchful eye, neutralizing their ability to organize against him. The Fronde also reinforced Louis XIV's belief in the necessity of a strong, centralized bureaucracy. He expanded the administrative apparatus of the state, appointing loyal, capable commoners to key positions. These officials, known as intendants, were tasked with enforcing royal policies in the provinces, bypassing the traditional authority of regional nobles. This centralization of power was essential to Louis's vision of an absolutist monarchy, in which the king's authority was unchallenged. In addition, Louis took steps to diminish the influence of the Parliament of Paris. Although he recognized the judiciary's importance in maintaining order, he imposed strict limits on its ability to challenge royal edicts. By subordinating the Parliament to the crown, Louis ensured that it could no longer serve as a platform for opposition. The Fronde rebellions had far-reaching consequences for France, shaping the nation's political, social, and economic trajectory. One of the most immediate effects was the devastation caused by years of civil war. Rural areas, in particular, suffered from pillaging and violence, leaving lasting scars on the countryside. The economic toll of the Fronde slowed France's recovery from the 30 Years' War, exacerbating existing inequalities and hardships. Politically, the Fronde marked a turning point in the decline of feudal structures and regional autonomy. The failure of the rebellions underscored the futility of opposing royal authority, paving the way for the centralized state that Louis XIV would build in the following decades. The erosion of noble power and the subjugation of the Parlement of Paris reinforced the supremacy of the monarchy, establishing a model of absolutism that would define French governance for generations. Culturally and psychologically, the Fronde left a deep impression on the French people. The widespread disorder and suffering caused by the rebellions fostered a sense of exhaustion with political instability. Many came to view royal absolutism as a necessary antidote to the chaos of rebellion. This acceptance of centralized authority was instrumental in securing the legitimacy of Louis XIV's rule and his portrayal of himself as the Sun King, a divine ruler whose authority ensured peace and prosperity. The Fronde rebellions were a pivotal episode in the early reign of Louis XIV, highlighting the challenges of governing a fragmented and restless kingdom. Although the uprisings ultimately failed to achieve their goals, they had a profound impact on the development of France. By exposing the weaknesses of noble power and regional autonomy, the Fronde paved the way for the establishment of an absolutist state. For Louis XIV, the lessons of the Fronde reinforced his commitment to centralized authority, shaping his policies and defining his legacy as one of the most powerful monarchs in European history. The Fronde serves as both a cautionary tale and a critical juncture in the evolution of the French state, demonstrating the enduring tension between order and rebellion in the pursuit of political stability.